Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Jeff Blubaugh. With me today is Sedgwick County Commissioner Michael O'Donnell. Welcome, Commissioner.
Welcome, Jeff. Happy to join you today.
Thank you very much. Hey, today we're discussing property taxes, and we'll be taking your questions live. So be sure to post them in the feed, and we'll try to answer as many of them as we can. Commissioner, we good from here?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So, I appreciate you joining us today, and just, we've had some of these discussions amongst the electeds, and I know you're hearing from a lot of your constituents. You've reached out to me as well as I've heard from my constituents. Can you kind of explain to us the current situation we're in as far as property taxes? There's been a lot going on in the community. Some of the lenders are working with folks as far as, I guess they can extended times to pay their mortgages if they have some kind of an event. I'm hearing the realtors. I did see a National Association of Realtors email the other day that came out that said some of those payments will be due after the 90th day, and it'll be due in full. So I hope people are doing all the research and finding out as much as they can about these situations. But we're here today to talk about property taxes. So Tell me a little bit about how property taxes are being affected through this.
Yeah, sure, Jeff. Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of the same things that you are, a lot of the same questions. People are wondering because the second half of 2019 taxes are due on May 11th. And right now, obviously, that's approaching rapidly. So here in the next few weeks, everyone's going to have to be making that second half payment, or they're going to be forced to be delinquent. And a lot of people don't want to do that because they know interest starts accumulating immediately. So in Kansas, unfortunately, everyone knows we have very high property taxes compared to a lot of our neighboring states. On top of that, we also have very high interest and penalties. So if it is a home or a business property tax, $10,000 or less, it's 11% interest. If it's $10,000 or more, it's 15% interest. And so a lot of people are struggling right now to figure out how do we move forward with that. So state statute doesn't give the counties a lot of leeway and flexibility on that. So what we've been looking at doing is two things. First, crafting a letter, sending it to the governor and asking if she could do an executive order, which would extend your ability to pay for 60 or 90 days. So the disbursements to the cities and school districts and townships, all the other forms of government in Sedgwick County and across the state gets distributed in June. So we collect it here at the county. May 11th is when it's due. That gives us right at a month that we can then get that money, send it to the state, and disperse it to all the other entities. If you miss May 11th and you send it in May 12th or 13th, it still does not get sent to all the government entities until September 18th. So then it's 3 months later. But right now, with all the concerns with the economy, I know why people are asking about this. We are having a little bit of pushback from the cities and school districts saying we need that money now, which makes sense because they still have ongoing expenses. They still have salaries for their employees. They still have utility payments. They have their own bond payments. A lot of things are going on. But what we know is close to half of the taxes we collect are taxed in escrow anyway. So right now we're talking about a much smaller pool of people that own their own property and are in financial hardship, or they're maybe a landlord, have multiple properties, and they're relying on all of their tenants to pay on time so they can turn around and pay their property taxes. So we're dealing with unique groups of people and not just your average middle-class family, which is paying their property taxes built into their escrow anyway.
Okay. And thanks for that information. If you don't mind if I jump back a little bit to the appeals process, this is something I've heard a lot about. Yep. You've heard a lot about as well.
Right.
Generally, if I think it's pretty common knowledge that the appraisals came in a little bit higher last year because at the end of the last year, real estate was doing very well. That in fact, made everybody's increase. And I understand the appeals process, they went to strictly over the phone. Is that correct?
That is correct. Over the phone. Okay. Just for obvious reasons, we're not trying to have anybody come into contact with anyone with the coronavirus and put anybody at risk, whether it's our employees or the citizens that are appealing. It just makes sense to do it over the phone.
Okay. Can you kind of walk me through the certification process? Because the county has to certify these on a certain date and be sent to the state. And from my previous experience being on the school board out in Goddard, I understand all that's got to be done. Is in July 1 kind of a hard date so that
Yes.
so that schools, cities, everyone else in the state can kind of that starts our new fiscal year. Can you kind of walk me through
That
some of that? Or is
That's
that
exactly right. That's exactly right. So the new fiscal year is obviously July 1. And we need to keep these property taxes separate. The ones due on May 11th, I mentioned earlier, it's the second half of 2019. So what we're talking about are the 2020 appraisals that came out earlier this year that you're mentioning are actually probably now very inflated because of the economy. We were rocking and rolling the beginning of the year when those appraisals went out. Now we're kind of in a different pattern with our economy, but that gives our office, the appraiser's office here in downtown Wichita, the opportunity to meet with people up through May. They were trying to get everything done by May 15th or so. Obviously, that has to be extended because of staffing issues, but we have to have what we believe our appraisals are going to be: mill levies from the cities, appraisals from the county, that is going to be sent up to the state so they know what they can collect. We have had to extend that a little bit because so many are over the phone and just connecting with people, that if you do have an issue and can't get your appeal done, just contact me at the end of this. We'll give our contact information and I'll set you up with our appraiser. He'd be Mark Clark. He'd be happy to assist.
okay? So you guys are doing your best to work with individuals. Now, say there in March you didn't get your appeals turned in time, and there's not really been an extension in there. Isn't there an opportunity in December that if you can only appeal it one of the two times, I believe, but if you didn't
Right.
appeal it now, you can do it again, and you have to pay it first,
Pay under protest.
and you pay under protest, and then the first part of 2021 they'll go back and look at that protest claim you've done. Is that correct?
Yes, and there's a box that you check. You need to make sure that you write that on there, that it's payment under protest. You can even put it in the memo of your check to double check yourself there. But if somebody is watching this and they didn't get that appeal in, still contact me. See if there's something we can do. If there's an extenuating circumstance, if a health issue or financial issue that was going on in the house and you escaped it. I've talked to people that one of the spouses had died, didn't get the appeals through. We worked with them. So we'll try to be flexible because we realize a lot of facilities, a lot of homes and businesses went up double digits this year because we were out of compliance according to the state. So there's a lot of changes that have happened since those went out at the beginning of the year till now.
Right. And I certainly see both sides of this, being in the real estate profession as well as serving on the city council, because there's a lot of things going on right now where landlords cannot evict someone if they're not paying because of the coronavirus. Some landlords are a little bit panicky about getting that money. I know real estate sales, they are continuing, but they're at a much slower pace. This is kind of the harvest season for realtors, the March, April, May. So it's really affecting, some of their prime times. But on the other end, I put on the other hat as my role as Wichita City Council member. And I know that this is affecting the cities very much because, we're going in and having a budget retreat tomorrow, and we're looking at somewhere between $8 to $10 million that we potentially will have to slash out of our budget or find other resources for it. I'm sure you're feeling that over there on the county as well.
Yes. We don't know what the numbers will be, but you brought up such a salient point, and that is the governor told the citizens of Kansas that you cannot be evicted because of losing your job or the financial hardship during the coronavirus. However, that still doesn't mean that those landlords don't have to pay their property taxes either. So it just seems like she might be putting the cart before the horse, because it affects a whole lot more people than just that tenant. And I agree, evicting anyone right now would be a heinous act to do. However, if you're going to do that and these landlords don't have income coming in, then we need to do something. We should not add insult to injury and saying, not only do you have to pay your property taxes May 11th, but we're going to start charging you interest immediately. So starting May 12th, your interest is at 11%. And the problem is, if you have a lot of properties and it's over $10,000, your interest is over, it's 15%. So we definitely need to be looking out on both sides of this equation. And that's where I feel that Sedgwick County needs to take a proactive step in saying, hey, if you're going through a financial hardship, if you have lost your house, or your job or whatever, we are not going to charge you that interest. That's where we run into the constitutional question, and why what would be best is if Governor Kelly says, hey, we're going to extend that, just like she did state income tax. State income tax normally last week. We should have had tax day last week. But because President Trump extended it to July 15th, the governor matched that. That's what I'm asking for local property taxes. If we could get that 60 or 90-day extension, you're not going to pay that interest. However, if on day 61 or 91, you still don't pay it, then you're going to be having to pay that interest in full. So I'm not asking for a blanket deferral of interest. I just want a deferral of interest for 60 or 90 days.
And that sounds like a very fair request from everything I'm hearing. Like I said, there are a lot of investors that are out there. Property owners, if you own a strip mall or somewhere with restaurants, other bars, other businesses that have not been opening, no income is coming into them.
Right. Nothing.
Obviously, the landlords want to work with them. They don't want to evict them. I did hear a number a few days ago. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I had heard there were about 400 evictions in the works to be served. However, that is after the courts open back up. Do you have any idea when the courts will be opening back up?
First week of May is what we're looking at, and that's going to be limited too. So we're seeing, unfortunately, a rapid increase in domestic violence and some other burglaries right now. That's going to take a much higher precedence in our court system than an eviction, for example. So I don't want to say, oh yeah, evictions and all these civil issues are going to be starting on May 1, when really that's going to be reserved for some of the more criminal cases.
Well, and you're absolutely right. Public safety trumps all of these other issues out there. And right. I think, we've both seen an uptick in both the city and the county in that. And I certainly appreciate all of our, police officers, sheriff's officers, court system, everybody that's out there playing a part to keep our public safe. So
yeah. So what I would encourage the public to do is reach out to your county commissioner, get on our website, sedgwickcounty.org, and message us and let us know your thoughts. We're going to be talking about this property tax deferral on Wednesday. And we could take action this coming Wednesday, or we're going to have a special meeting on the 29th, because it is that important right now with what we're dealing with. So I would encourage you to reach out to your county commissioner, obviously your city council members as well. But what's more important is us taking that action, because the county collects all that money. And what I found out through this process is 100% of the interest and fees collected go to the county anyway. So we do not share those with the cities and school districts. Okay. And we're 25% of the budget of your mill levy. We're roughly 25%, but yet we keep 100% of the interest and penalties. Well, so that's why it's important for us to take that step, because that's not going to hurt the bottom lines of any other government entity, just ours. And right now we're in unprecedented times. And like I tell people, a lot of us, we have rainy day funds. And if this coronavirus isn't a rainy day, I don't think anything would justify what a rainy day is, just with the national economy and the local economy. So we need to do what we can. So if individuals can reach out to their county commissioners specifically, and then also their city council and even school board members, that'd be helpful.
Absolutely. And the same thing with me. My contact information is jblubaugh@wichita.gov. And I know myself, all of my colleagues, the mayor, we'd all like to hear from individuals about that, and just any way that we can help the public. do we have any questions that came in, Michael, or Commissioner O'Donnell? Did you receive any questions that came in that we haven't addressed the issues on yet?
Sorry.
If I
Sounds
can
like
pop
Megan
in
had
here.
something.
Hey there. So we have had some questions on our live stream. I'm not sure if we'll have time to get to all of them, but we have had some good inquiries. Some of this you have touched on, Commissioner. If someone is on a fixed income, has been out of work because of COVID, perhaps is a senior, what happens if they can't afford their property taxes?
Okay. Well, what happens is we start the interest immediately. So if the home is under $10,000, that's 11% annually. So it would be right under 1%. So if they owe, $1,000, it's going to be $10 a month, roughly. If they owe $2,000, $20 a month, roughly. So that the interest starts immediately. And the only way to get that taken care of is if the governor issues a blanket deferral for 60 or 90 days, or if the county commission on a case-by-case basis is to forgive that once the individual pays their property taxes.
Perfect. Thank you. We have one from Angela. Other states around us may have lower taxes. Why can't we lower ours or just get rid of property taxes?
So what I would say we need to look at, and Councilmember Blubaugh brought it up earlier today, and that is our valuations went up. See, to me, having valuations go up is a very, very positive thing. The negative thing is that property taxes go up because of the mill levy. So what cities and counties and school districts have to do is look at our overall budget, see areas where we can find efficiencies or cut. Right now, I think Jeff mentioned the city is looking between $8 and $10 million that they're going to have a shortfall. So I think right now we're all going to have to be looking at where we can cut, where we can save money, and obviously lowering the mill levy would be wonderful if we can do it.
Wonderful. This one is from Commissioner Cruz. He's asking that you touch on any feedback you've received from cities about property taxes.
Yeah, I've had mixed reviews about property taxes. Some people are saying don't have a delay, don't have a deferral, and others are supportive of delaying for a 60-day, 90-day extension, knowing what's happening in the economy right now. So it's all over the place, and that's why I feel like individuals need to be reaching out to their elected official, because at the end of the day, this money belongs to the taxpayers. It does not belong to the city, school district, or the county. This is the taxpayers' money. They need to make their voices heard to their elected representatives, because we don't answer to cities or school districts. We answer to citizens. We answer to the people that vote for us and are paying the taxes on a daily basis.
Perfect. And
Any other questions?
I think we've answered all of them throughout the course of the broadcast, so thank you.
Okay. Commissioner, I certainly appreciate you agreeing to go out there with the city on Facebook Live here, and kind of hopefully this cleared up some things and gave the public a little bit better knowledge. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah. If you would like to call us, our phone number for the county commission offices is 660-9300. And let the person that answers the phone know where you live, and they'll connect you with your correct commissioner. So that'd be probably the best way to do it, because the voicemails come directly to our email address. So 660-9300. Or you can email us at, mine, for example, is michael.o'donnell@sedgwick.gov. It would be the same thing if you call Jim Howell, jim.howell@sedgwick.gov, david.dennis@sedgwick.gov. So it's just our first name dot last name at sedgwick.gov. But really, the easiest way to get a hold of us is 660-9300.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you very much for today.
Thank you.
I've appreciated all the updates you guys have provided. I think the county commission has done a very good job of keeping the public informed. And, it's a big job you guys have had over the last 30, 45 days, and appreciate the leadership.
Well, thank you, Jeff. And let's pray for those that have been affected by the coronavirus. We've had a handful of deaths. We've had now just an outbreak of a nursing home in Clearwater. So we know it has hit close to home for so many people. So let's keep practicing safe social distancing, wearing masks in public if possible, and washing our hands. But today, let's just keep. We're on a very positive trajectory right now in Sedgwick County. Let's keep that up, because then we can actually restart the economy.
Absolutely. Public safety is the key here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Happy to be here.